Hey, Mark. So we got another question that I thought we both thought that would be kind of cool to just record this little video. And so I want to pose the question to you and then see how your response comes to this, because I'm sure a lot of people get these same kind of questions. So the question is, if you are so confident in what you offer, your program, et cetera, and you're going to get me to my goal of at least $15,000 a month, then I would expect that you would be willing to do that work for me for free or on a contingency, so that when I start to make money, then I will pay you for the work that you did to bring them to my door. So I'll leave you with that.
Great question. Thank you, Jamie. I love being on the hot seat. And you know what's interesting too is I want to kind of take us out of the picture on this particular response, because what I want to do is shift this and make this a helpful educational video, as opposed to me blowing our own horn or us handling an objection. So I'm just going to put a little spin on that, is because we get this from clients. Our clients will come to us and say, gee, what do I do when a prospect gets in touch with me and says, they can come from any number of ways. Hey, let's work on a, what's the word I'm thinking of, a barter. I'll do work for you and you'll do work for me, and then when we make money, maybe, we'll pay each other or maybe not. So it could be a barter, or it could be, oh, do you work on contingency? In other words, you help me get the outcome that I'm looking for, a fantastic marriage, or I become a better salesperson, or whatever it happens to be that the coach is doing, the outcome that they're providing. They say, well, I'll pay you after you get me that. So it's a contingency. Or, I'll pay you a percentage of the revenue I make after I engage your services to help my company be more profitable. I could go on and on with examples, but the bottom line, as you put it, Jamie, all sums up to one thing: work for me for free, and then when I have money, I'll pay for it. So that's kind of what the question really boils down to. And I know for those of you watching may say, well, I don't really mean that, but you do. I'm going to be really blunt with you. If you really, search your heart, that's exactly what you're asking. And I want to share a screen with you here, because I think I have an example of this that is wonderful. Jamie and I just did a training earlier today, and this was part of that training. So serendipitously, coincidentally, I have a great visual in here. So what we're talking about for coaches and consultants is what I call the prevalent and paralyzing mindset. And the prevalent and paralyzing mindset goes like this. This is from a story told by Earl Nightingale, and I think it was in the program called The Strangest Secret. So Earl talks about a story of a fellow walking in a terrible blizzard and freezing to death. And he comes across a wood stove, and he has a pile of kindling and wood in his hand. And he says, I'm so cold, I'm dying. Please give me some heat. And of course, the wood stove says, sure, I'll give you all the heat you want. I'm very happy. You'll be warm and toasty. Just give me some wood. And the fellow looks at the wood stove and he says, no way. Give me the heat first, and then I'll add the wood. So you can see the parallel in this parable, if you will, of the problem with your business and why it's a paralyzing mindset. You're telling the world that you have no value. You believe so little in yourself that you're not willing to invest in yourself at all. You're saying, I'll invest zero. And then when you prove to me that I have value, then maybe I'll give you some of that back. So I would suggest to you that if you're going through your business like that, stop it. Either go get a job where somebody else will pay you, and hopefully you can provide some sort of value for them that you can keep that job, or just stop that mindset. Stop thinking that way. Because if you're not willing to invest in yourself, why on earth would anyone invest in you? Sometimes we get into this debate with people too, as coaches, where they say, I would not be willing to spend any money on a coach. I'm not going to waste my money on coaching or consulting or anything like that. And yet they're trying to market themselves as a coach. Can you see the problem with that? They're not willing to invest in the service that they're providing. Craziness. And by the way, I'll be perfectly frank here. All of that debate in the coaching community, well, sometimes you need it, sometimes you don't. Bull. Bull, bull, bull. If you're not willing to get a coach, you're not willing to invest in a coach, you have no business being in the coaching business, because you have no belief in what you're doing. Enough of that. So the final thing, just to wrap this up, and here's the gift in all of this conversation, is it's not your fault. Why? Because you've been conditioned your whole life probably. Because most likely you came to this idea of going in business for yourself, being a coach, being a consultant or whatever, because you probably had a job for many years and you were trained from public school. Do your training, go get a good job, then we'll give you some money and then pay all your expenses out of that money, and then be really frugal and save wherever you can. In other words, be a saver. And if you're lucky, we'll let you retire at a certain age. That is the kiss of death in business. So what you need to do is take that thought process and that mindset out of your mind altogether. Stop being a saver. It's the kiss of death in business. Instead, shift your focus to being an investor. When you become an investor, now you're looking for ROI. Now, when you're looking for ROI, you look at things very differently. You say, well, let's say that ROI on a particular investment is 10%. And I've got $1,000. I go, boy, if I put $1,000 into that investment, then I'm going to make $100 back. I'm going to have $1,100 at the end of the day. Then as an investor, if that's a good return and a return, I'm going to scurry around looking for even more money. And I say, maybe I can come up with 10 grand, because if I invest 10 grand, now I'm going to have $1,000 more. The same thing with your business and your mindset. When you go to invest in things, and this is what will put you on a path too of investing in the right things. Because if you're continuing to bounce along the bottom by investing in $29 programs or $99 programs or $200 programs, guess what you're getting? You're getting that much ROI. Now, if you want to build a $20 business, if you want, that's the return on investment, go for it. Buy a $200 product. But all of a sudden, if you're interested in making $100,000, if that's the kind of revenue you want, think of what your scale of mindset needs to go to. What are you willing to invest to get that kind of a return on investment? If you want a $15,000 revenue coming in every month for a year, that's $180,000 in a year. How much would you be willing to invest to get that kind of a return? $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. Some people would say, hey, if I could go and invest $100,000 and get $180,000 back, I'd do it in a heartbeat. So now all of a sudden your focus is not on, oh, I need to save. I don't need to say, I can't spend more money. Instead, it becomes, if I invest, I'm going to get a return on that investment. So I hope this helps you grapple with this concept, and also to grapple with people who are coming to you and asking you to work for free. You know, you either need to have that conversation and help them with this process, help them see the value in what you're offering and present that value in such a way and find out if it's what they really, really, really want. Because if they do, then they will invest in your product or service. And on the other side of the coin, you yourself, if you're not investing in yourself, if you're not at a point where you're making that $1 million a year, whatever it is, where you start to look at your expenses and maybe look at frivolous spending, if you're not at that level yet, then become an investor and look for ROI in everything that you invest in, your time, your money, and your energy, and look for the ROI and go and get it. Jamie, I hope that helps answer that question. And I'm not sure if you want to add anything more to that.
I was just going to add in, I mean, you talked about having a coach yourself as a coach, and Mark and I will proudly say that we walk our talk. So we always are investing in our business, in coaches, in team, and those are the most worthwhile investments that we make for ourselves. And we're always working with multiple coaches for different things. So we invest heavily, and it pays off every single time. So yeah. We walk our talk, and we hope that helps you as well.
Yeah. And just to full disclosure, to share, to be transparent with you, currently, Jamie and I are working with 3 different coaches for our business right now. And also on a personal level, I know Jamie is working with a coach on a personal level for some family matters. Yep. Right now, personally, full transparency, I don't happen to be working with a coach on a personal level right now, but numerous times throughout the year, I'm working with a coach, and I do have a couple of coaches in my back pocket that I reach out to work on specific goals and projects. So we do walk the talk, and we couldn't do what we do if we didn't invest in ourselves. And by the way, the more we invest, because the more we invest, the higher the return we get. And it sparks us forward. Yeah, we started with scraping together the pennies to hire 1 coach. Now we're hiring 3. Because we know that every time we do it, we get multiples back. So we could go on and on and on, but hopefully this has helped you, and hopefully it's answered a great question that many people struggle with. If you are that person, stop asking for contingency, stop asking, go and find the money. You're building a business here, like any business. If you were going to open up a store, would you go to a landlord and say, give me free rent and I'll pay you when I'm profitable a year from now? He'd laugh you out of his office, he or she. So don't think that way. This is a business like any other. Start
when you're asking people to work on contingency, keep in mind that you're asking them to invest their time, their resources, their mind space, all of that, and they're doing it. You're asking them to do it for free, and it just devalues that person's, in our case, it would be our time, our mindset, our energy. And for what? The hopes that we're going to maybe track you down and say, okay, now you owe us some money and hopefully you'll pay. It's just not even a good look.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And on that point, without getting, oh, my screen changed here. Sorry about that. I don't know what I clicked, but I'll bring that back.
Don't worry, Mark, I can edit this out, this part. Yeah.
So just one final point on that is, if you are a coach or consultant, never ever accept contingency. Never, unless you are at a point where you can, unless you're at a point where your revenue is so consistent and so solid that you're willing to do that. Don't barter. Keep your business honest, and let it pay for itself and let it justify its own existence. But most importantly, the bottom line message here is, be an investor, not a saver. Go and build something great by investing in it.